Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here, and my friends over at the Mythoverse have just shared with me the first three comics in the Mythoverse. I backed this on Kickstarter. I'm really happy I backed this project on Kickstarter. I'm really interested in this world. I'm interested in how we're getting to see different aspects of this world, and they all have their own unique feel to them. Like if you were going to have like a large shared universe where different writers are writing different characters, you wouldn't expect like everybody to have the same personality and style, right? You'd expect to maybe see, like some more normal parts of life, maybe some more exciting parts of life, that kind of a thing. So I'm excited about the Mythoverse, and I think I'm going to review these three comics together because part of what I'm excited about is how they're all informing each other. They feel like they're building to something really big together. I'm going to show you these comics kind of in the order I personally think you should read them. The, there's like a chronological order for sequence and times, but personally, if I were you, I would start by reading Adobe Kroger, Dame Commander. There's been a audiobook and Amazon Kindle book released for Adobe Kroger, and I've bought it. I'll show you a little later why I got so interested to buy it later, but it's written by Dan Sakharov. Let's look at the credits. Pencils and inks are by Leandro Penganaban, and Leandro is in like this really high tier, like ready for Marvel and DC kind of books. Excellent black and white work. Eric Weathers, he's done a lot of lettering for kind of CG and indie comics. Colors by Bret Smith. So I'm just going to give these like a brief review. Let me decide a good page. I don't want to show everything, so let me decide a good page. Actually, the first page is a good example. So what I love about Leandro's art is he's using black and white in such a way that just the black and white art is compelling, which can be a tricky thing, especially if you like work in Photoshop and you kind of put all your layers together, then you may never have like a black and white phase. But by having like this really solid black and white art, I get immersed into it. I'm intrigued by the city. The city feels like it's foggy and misty, and it has some atmosphere to it, and it helps put emphasis on certain things. So the art is killer, and for the narrative, of the three comics, I'm going to be like totally honest. Like Adobe Kroger, I think is the most solid of the three because mostly because of how well everything about Adobe's character is paced and framed throughout the story. So it kind of begins where they're saying, I am Adobe Kroger. It ends with her repeating, I am Adobe Kroger. It really does a good job of like helping. What I always tell writers is pretend I'm a dummy, because I am a dummy. Explain it to me like I'm a dummy. So Adobe Kroger explains the story to me like I'm a dummy. It introduces the characters. It kind of helps me identify their names. Like in the real life, you don't say someone's name every time you talk to them. Hey Jimmy, hey Jimmy, hey Jimmy. But in comic book world, you should be saying their names a lot to help them stick in the person's mind. And the second thing I love about Adobe Kroger is she has this superpower, but she also has this weakness, this fragility to her. In a lot of like vampire hunter stories, the characters there'll be like some character come from the church who hunts vampires, right? Let me find where she's praying. Actually, here it is. Okay, so if you're going to have a story where they're like Catholics or holy knights hunting down the vampires, one of the questions you want to ask yourself is, are you just using religion as kind of just a superpower, or are you saying that religion actually has some significance to these characters' lives in some way? I think of like the Pokemon meme where Misty's holding up a cross to chase off Haunter in Pokemon. So does that imply like Christianity exists in the Pokemon world? What's going on? So I like it when people don't just have like Christianity as some weird like odd superpower in a universe. I like when they give it some context, or they kind of like they're clearly thinking about, why am I referencing religious faith in this story apart from just like trust. Now the interesting thing about Adobe Kroger is her faith literally gives her superpowers, but you can tell by the way she prays and the way she thinks about her problems that her faith isn't just like a superpower boost in this universe. Clearly, there's a kind of metaphor being built here where she has this faith, she has this commitment. She's very much a paladin who believes in her mission to smite evil and defeat demons. But she has a problem. She has a stammer, and this is kind of like a physical defect. It makes it it's sort of a tragic irony because in order to activate her powers, she needs to pray. She prays in German, and she literally stumbles over her words, and this can be dangerous in certain situations. And I'm kind of making the connection here that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. She has this vision of what she'd like to do. She'd like to be a strong paladin, saving innocent people from the demons and from the debauched, sex slave traffickers. But her flesh sometimes isn't able to live up to this ideal she has in her own mind. I also really like some of the strategy of the different characters. So there's kind of like a witch character who is trained in essentially canceling out magical protections for bad guys, but that's all she can do. If she's concentrating on canceling out the magic protection, she can't give you any other supporting magic. They're like badass normal soldiers who are really good at clearing a room and kind of using SWAT tactics. The action is great. You can follow everything and feel, like, oh, wow, I understand exactly how that action scene is working. So one of the beautiful things about it is, a lot of action scenes are just like, oh, action, super duper fighty, punchy stuff. But there's clearly being some visual thought being given to the flow of action. Like, why is this the best strategy? What would you do in this situation if you had these powers but had this limitation? So that to me is like perfect action comics, and it's a beautiful story where the theme of Adobe Kroger's kind of growth as a confident young servant of it's called the Order of the Carolinian Cross. They're essentially Holy Knight Templars. It is the basic character type. Her character arc of being confident, being capable, but wondering if she can actually do it in the field is the framing device of this first story. Put on the whole armor of God that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, Ephesians. All right, so Adobe Kroger is my favorite. I like all three of these, but Adobe Kroger really, really excited me when I just saw all that great black and white art. So I would then read Mythics second. So Mythics Books 1 actually takes place a few years before the events of Adobe Kroger, Dame Commander Book 1, but I think it's good for you to know who the Order of the St. Carolinian Cross are, the Paladins, because some Paladins show up in this one with a little explanation, but I think it's good to have maybe like a mental, spot in your head where you say, okay, I know who the Paladins are. So Matt Trin, the creator-writer, I've interviewed him on my show before. I think Matt Trin's greatest strength as a writer is he's very, very concerned and very considerate about the details of the world he inhabits. He's very concerned about his characters having flaws. And that comes across in this. Beth Barney's art, I think she has a really good feel for like human expression, like when a human expression kind of reveals a thought about a character, and her color is very good at establishing mood. One concern I had with Mythics Book 1 is there were a couple places where I wasn't quite following the logic. I think... Well, I mentioned this before, so pretend I'm an idiot and I don't know what's going on. And I think something as simple as like literally maybe having like a box underneath Althea, which says Althea Fletcher, like right here, and this guy's name right here, so I can say, oh, this is Althea, oh, this is her familiar, right? Something like that would help me, so I'm not like coming down here and reading Miss Althea Fletcher and saying, okay, well, he's a guy, so she must be Miss Althea Fletcher. Like, explain it to me like I'm stupid. I think maybe like an editor would help with that. Maybe just like having a second pair of eyes to look for little things like that. So what's really interesting and really cool about Althea's story, though, is this is a different perspective on the same world. So we've seen like the Holy Knights, they believe in God, they hunt down evil demons and save slaves and such. And the Mythics are also interested in fighting witches and saving innocent people, but they are not part of the Holy Order, and they're clearly terrified of the Holy Order. Like, they don't want anyone knowing that they're using this magic. They're trying to be very careful to conceal themselves. And something I like about that is they're not just like in a lot of, like classic stories, there's the good paladin and the good paladin goes down and hunts the witch, right? Because the witch eats children or something. And in a lot of modern stories, I think writers like to just completely subvert that 180 degrees. So they'll have the Catholic Church be the evil, super duper evil bad guys, and they'll have the witches be the super duper good, innocent people who are just being persecuted by the church. And I really like the balance of this, where the Order of the Carolinian Cross, like they do good stuff. They save innocent people, but it's like they're good, but they're not perfect. They're a little bit, maybe they're a little bit too tough on all magic users. Like maybe they're a little too quick to assume that all magic users are the same as demonic witches doing sacrifices in the woods. So the Mythics are magic users who like to try to save. Apparently, they like to save people from evil witches. And there's also like this fun thing that there are real witches who like worship Satan or try to summon demon lords, and then there are LARPers or just like Wiccans who pretend they're really cool witches, but they have no clue what they're doing. And there's this interesting little mystery where they see these idiots trying to do a sacrifice, and they're bungling it. The sacrifice is not going to work because they don't know how this works. And so Althea's assumption is, okay, well, these guys just must be like some stupid LARPers who don't know what they're doing. But then she gets a little worried and thinks, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these were real witches. They're just inexperienced. So there's a little mystery being built up in the background. And throughout all of these books, actually, one of the common elements of all three of these books is we see changelings. And I like how this is referencing kind of classic European fairy tales where fairies in old fairy tales are not nice little Disney princess pixies. Fairies in fairy tales can be good. They can help, the children get home. And fairies can be really dangerous and deadly and like kidnap you forever. So a changeling is a child that's been exchanged by a fairy for a human child. The fairy come and they kidnap the human child and they leave a changeling in its place. And that means that they are kind of like part human, part fairy. And they have blue skin and they can kind of like there needs to be a type of magic essentially for them to be able to disguise themselves as human. Otherwise, you'd be able to see what they are in an instant. And there's this kind of cute thing where, Althea saves the day. The evil witches are watching in the background, and she feels like she should be able to take care of this baby, right? She's clearly a very competent magic user. She thinks she's got this, and like her partner just kind of like looks at her with this smug, knowing smile, like, you don't know what you're getting into. Now, the whole time this is going on, the paladins are researching and investigating things. This is another moment where I could have used like a dumb, like explain it to me like I'm either dumb or a 5-year-old or I'm a dumb 5-year-old. So I kind of picked up that this dead guy is a paladin. That's why the paladins are here investigating things. Is he the dad of the kid that got kidnapped? Like I need like a dumb box right here. Like you could write 4 dummies like #1 Marmaduke fan that explains to me, here is what is being investigated. Here's the victim. Here's detective so-and-so. Here's the rookie so-and-so. Like basically label everything it's like in a grocery store, right? You have to label everything in the grocery store. People won't know what to shop or how much things cost. Label everything for me like I'm a dummy, and that would help me out a lot. But I was able to. It's not that hard if you just read carefully. What you figure out is these 2 paladins are investigating this death, and unfortunately, that means they're getting closer and closer to Althea and the Mythics. I kind of like that she just has she has her partner who she works with doing like supernatural cool stuff, and she just has her husband. And then at the end, a new character emerges, and this is like the setup for the next story. All right, so a lot happens. We got the investigation going on. We've got the fight. They saved the day and saved the baby, and they're trying to raise the baby. But maybe like one more example here. Like, what if there was a box, right, with this character's name in it, pointing at her, so I can look at it and say, okay, I know who this character's name is. And what if like Althea had like a pithy comic, like, oh no, it's her, right, something to kind of like leave me a little whammo right at the end. I think this is one of the things that Adobe Kroger did really well, is Adobe Kroger narrated her own story throughout. I feel like having having Althea act as more of the narrator of her own story would kind of help us follow like her thought throughout the story. But I enjoy the Mythics. I love this whole universe. I love that this is adding a new dimension to this universe. So we'll come back to the sketchbook. I said I loved Adobe Kroger. Man, I love all of these, but Changeling and Irving Fairy Tale by Bret Mcgowen. I've talked to him about this character, Maeve. I'm really happy I finally gotten to see it. He really gets how to, again, have a character who has a flaw, who has a problem, and who wants something. So Maeve is being raised in this Christian household. She has anxiety disorder. She appears to see demons or have hallucinations. So she's on medication. And her parents are just kind of like struggling with how do we help a kid who is having this hard a time fitting in or just communicating with other people. Like she'd rather spend all of her time at a cat shelter because she kind of likes cats more than people. I want to get the artist here. Pencils and Inks by Victor Campon, kind of a cute anime influence style, but not purely an anime style. It's got its own vibe to it. And colors and letters by Ginger Foxy. So first thing I'll call attention to is I saw Bret Mcgowen tweeting about this, but when he got the art back, he was surprised by this is a family show, so we'll just say the mom looks super voluptuous. That's the family friendly way we'll describe it. So he didn't expect this. I don't think he gave like really specific detailed directions to Victor Campen on how to draw the mom. So he gets the art back and he sees like, wow, that's one beautiful mom, and I love it. I love that Maeve's mom is now canon, a gorgeous woman. So Maeve has this social anxiety problem. It's really well done as she kind of like has her awkward interaction with a kid at the party, and she just doesn't know how to like talk through anything, or she overthinks it. So this is really genuine, really authentic. She feels they're showing, not telling, that the character has this social anxiety problem. Her parents kind of don't know how to cope with that. And okay, there's some cool things here. So this is Kitty Wonder, which is a character created by Nerd Wonder. It's the same character who shows up in the ending of a lot of my videos. Maeve also has like a cactus from Cactus Coyote and like My Little Pony stuff. And you get the feeling that this is a character who she loves adorable things. For her, the impression that's created is that these things are kind of an escape for her from like the trauma of trying to socialize and deal with the normal world. So it's also kind of sad. Later in the sketchbook, there are all of these sketches of her room, which I think is really important because they're using the little details of her room to help characterize her. I love that she loves cats, and this is like throughout her room, she's got like the stuffed animals of cats. She has the cool, distinct hoodie that's a cat, and then she runs into a cat, right? So it's kind of thematically appropriate for her because she loves cats, and then this cat becomes J.R.R. Tolkien's word for this would be the eucatastrophe. The eucatastrophe is something terrible happens in her life that actually sets her on the path towards becoming a hero or going on her journey. She runs into this cat, and it turns out it's not a cat, it's a changeling. And she's finding out that she's not a normal human being, that the reason she's having trouble fitting in is she's really a changeling. She's not fully human. And she has this great thing where she's wrestling with God. She doesn't hate God, but she is wrestling with God. I want to find that one section, actually. Oh, yeah, and there's something else I want to show from it. So let me go scrolling through here. It's when she's talking to her counselor. Okay. I've been on the med since I was a kid. They're a constant reminder there's something wrong with me. Now, the grace, the prayer, it's a little more complicated, I guess. Honestly, it's the whole God thing in general. Hey, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't believe or anything. But something about it, I don't know what it is, but I know it scares me. God scares me. Ooh, wow. So it's just a character's dialogue helping us understand like her inner turmoil, what she's grappling with. I want to show this. I'm 99.99% certain that these pillows are a reference to my boy Dollar Bin Reviews. I like him. He's got this cool like dog bear thing. He's a Disney artist, I think, if I remember right from him talking about his past. And he does like these cool like $1 comic book reviews. Hey, Dollar Bin Reviews, I'll one up you. I'll do free comic book reviews. How do you like that, Dollar Bin? But he's a cool guy. You should check him out. All right. And then there's like this great adventure where, the monsters show up and we find out who she is. It's great. I really like the characters, the expressions, the feel of it. It's cute. It's its own thing. And it just kind of ends with Maeve not being sure what's coming next. So I do want to take a look at some of the fan art that's done in all three of these books. So, let's take a look at everything. So, Leandro's exquisite cover art. Okay, this is great. Leandro's doing the whole like how to draw comics the Marvel way. Let's do a few different variations on a theme to find an idea. And they talk it in the editorial comments. They mentioned that they wanted the cover to actually evoke something that actually happens in the comic book itself. I really appreciated that. I like seeing the variety, but I do think that they went with the coolest concept, her standing up really cool, and then just a variation on that. I do kind of like the smoke coming off her, though. It makes it a little bit more subtle where you can see the bullet holes, but you don't see the smoke. So if you look carefully, you can see it. I don't know. I just like billowing smoke. Billowing smoke always looks cool to me. All of these great like pencil sketches from like initial draft to more polished final draft. They call attention to some of the edits they make. Whoops, like first panel, she's posed this way. gosh, I'm selecting everything. Second panel, she's posed that way. All this cool, like, nerdy explanation of, their ages and their powers and their skills and their armor. Great stuff. I love this kind of stuff. All right. This is why I went and bought the Adobe Kroger audiobook. Apparently, she fights with a banjo or something in the Adobe Kroger audiobook. I want to see why Adobe Kroger is fighting with a banjo. So I've gone and got it on Audible. Let's get the artist's name here. Let's see here. 2 pieces from Andre Leal with his character. 3 pieces by Dylan R. Fagan, kind of like them in workout outfits. Chibi Adobe Kroger by @Rosslyn. Adobe Kroger by @Fellhound_. Adobe Kroger Chibis by Denku the artist. That's adorable. You can make stickers of those. Adobe Kroger by Beth Barney. Teenage Adobe by Beth Barney. So I picked this up just from like reading between the lines, but apparently Adobe Kroger had like a troubled teenage past where she was a bit of a juvenile delinquent. The Mytho Trio and Luna by Blind Artist 93. This cool like beach fight scene. The Mytho Trio battling on the beach by @DRSZU. This piece won our Battle at the Beach art contest. I love the fan art. The Mytho Trio by Alabaster Scarf. Adobe Kroger by @Melting Core. Adobe Kroger in Soul Calibur by Dylan Fagan. Okay, Mr. Marvel, my boy Mr. Marvel. Okay, so what I really want to know specifically is, does Adobe Kroger just fight with a banjo in the novel? Or does Adobe Kroger fight in the rain in a swimsuit with a banjo in the novel? I want to know! Go get it on Audible! By Mr. Marvel. He's also the creator of Wanpool. I'll review that soon. And then a whole bunch of like mugshots of her looking freaked out at a police lineup. @Moonlight Shad XW, @Xenolith Comics, @Blind Artist 93, @Hobbs Obodo, and the winner by Andre Leal. And I think that's evoking like a real mugshot. Oh, this is cute. And then the Mytho Trio by Lauren Draws 01, and the Mytho Trio by Star Story Tele 1. Cool beans. You guys have got a lot of fan art. That's really cool. Good for you guys. All right, let's look at some more fan art because it's a little different from each book. So the sketchbook for Changeling focuses on like more. Each one focuses on more on fan art of each character. So the first person I reached out to pencil Changeling was an artist by the name of Gilly. I'm guessing this is Gilly's style, kind of like a cool sketchy style, but Gilly wasn't able to finish the comic. So the new people who took over was Victor and who's the colorist? Ginger. Ginger was the colorist. So neat. Scrolling through some more. Okay, this is what I really loved. All of this detail and thought being put into Maeve's room, because it really helps to, this is a big part of establishing a character visually, is like what kind of things do they put in their room? Like, is their room clean, or do they need to clean their room because it's a pit, right? That kind of stuff. And just tons and tons of thought about all of these things, like even like what franchises these little toys might be part of. I think it kind of helps establish Maeve as a cute, sweet young girl, but with maybe like a bit of fragility to her. Fantastic. And I love the Nerd Wonders, of course. And I love this like mashup between My Little Pony and Warhammer 40K. I like pencil sketches. That to me, that's like a big part of the process, is getting to see some of that. So hopefully, always feel free to include as much of this as possible in your digital files, and I will just eat it up. And some really thoughtful commentary on the process. So Mr. Marvel did his own interpretation. Of course, Mr. Marvel did a sexy, awesome, badass, wandering warrior interpretation of the character. But Mr. Marvel might be contributing a character to the Mythoverse. That'd be a lot of fun. Adult Maeve by Leonore King. Adult Maeve by Dylan R. Fagan. Adult Maeve by my boy Carl Toons, creator of Hullgrave. Adult Maeve by Great Gun Shogun. Adult Maeve by Alabaster Scarf. I've got a lot of artists I got to go check out. Adult Maeve by Antonella. Midnight Shad XW. Adult Maeve by Raven. Adult Maeve by Armand Strange. Blind Artist 93 again. Devilish Saint. Casper Brenech. I love fan art. Fan art is rule. Okay, Adult Maeve by Elijah Gurjik. Adult Maeve by Jacob Gratchik. Good for you guys. I'm so happy for this project. Manuela, Mina Sayan. You've spoke to a lot of people. Salem LeBlanc. Shinobi Raccoon, I've chatted with him a bit in some live streams. And Adult Maeve by Zeno. There's more. Okay, Ginger Foxy did this cool Christmas illustration. Here's Star Storyteller Clar. I think we saw some art by her before. Somnia. Wow, Maeve really. A lot of people. Well, she has this great look. That's the thing. You take one look at the character and you get a feel from the character because she has this unique, cool hoodie. Yeah, I think like strong characters tend to have like a good visual punch to them. Made by your friendly neighborhood ninja. Oh, it's Luigi Teruel, the artist for Rags. That's really cool. Leonor King. Funko version of Maeve by Danku, the artist. Pony Maeve by Josh, the amazing animator. I know him from Twitter. Maven Nerd Wonder by Ginger Foxy. Maven Regina by Ginger Foxy. Another Pony Maeve by Ginger Foxy. And Princess, remember the Princess Crown Bowsette meme? That's awesome. Maeve by Romance _0131. Maeve by Miki. Look at all this. Wow. Maeve's Rags and Punchline by Ari. I don't know Punchline yet. I'm sure that's an indie comic project, but I haven't caught up on what that is yet. So if someone knows Punchline, tweet me a link and I'll go check it out. The Mythic Trio by Antonella. Tiny Little Maeve Avatar by whatever. Cool. Mr. Marvel again, doing kind of like Instagram, adult Maeve. Blind Artist 93. And Luigi Teruel again doing the Mytho Trio. And some alternate covers. I don't think that either of these got funded in the Kickstarter, but hopefully they can be like in future art books and stuff. The whole cast by the main artist, Victor Campaign and Ginger Foxy. And the trio by Michael Santos. Look at all of this great art. Wow, that's amazing. People really resonated with Maeve. Okay, did I talk about all three? Yep, that's all three. Oh, but I want to look at the sketchbook for this one. So hold on, let me get the artist's name again. Got to keep all the artist traits. Beth Barney. Okay. So Beth Barney, I've already mentioned that I think she has like a good emphasis on human expression. I like her color. And she's clearly like thinking through some things, just quick sketches to pose things out. Jumping ahead. I also like the use of like a couple different layers just to like quickly indicate, like bright glowing portal, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to show all of this because I think you should check it out for yourself. But there's also some like good communication where the artist is calling attention to things that need to be clarified with the writer. That's like there needs to be like a good back and forth between the writer and the artist. Community art. All right. These are both by Blind Artist 93 for Mythics. These are kind of like workout poses by Dylan R. Fagan. We saw the beach piece before by Jacob Gratchik. I think we saw this too by Dylan R. Fagan. Kind of like Rob Liefeld inspired. Althea Holmes and Adobe Watson by Beth Barney. Cool beans, cool beans. I love Holmes and Watson. Dang. Althea Constantine by Beth Barney. These are really cool. This would be Althea and Maeve by Beth Barney. I'm really, really excited to see these characters together because they've all kind of been established in their own right. They all have their own vibe to them. So I can't wait to see, when things start to come together. Althea as Jon Snow by Beth Barney. Cool beans. All right. So the project is the Mythics. It's 3 different creative teams all working within the same universe. The characters, I'm assuming, are going to start crossing over soon. The Kickstarter for issue 1 of these 3 is over, but I will post links to various social media so you can keep up with the Mythoverse. I am really happy that I supported this, and I'm looking forward to more. So this isn't for everyone on the internet. This is just for you guys at the Mythoverse. But if you want an editor, you want like my OCD powers used for good, go ahead and hit me up because I'm really enjoying it. And I'm glad I've had you on to talk about it. I will link to my conversation with these guys if you want to hear them talk about their universe some more. And links in the description. So with that, I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. Thanks to everyone who supported this channel. I love you guys, and I'll catch you later. Stop recording.